Okay, so today's topic is going to be related to the divs. In fact, every topic from now onwards is going to be related to the divs. Okay, so today's topic is very important in the context of designing, because whenever you have something like a tricky design, whenever you want to stack something on top of each other, or whenever you want to move something relative to another thing, you use the topic we are going to discuss today. Okay, so the today's topic is going to be positions. What do you guys know about positions? Like, what does position represent? What do you think positions are? Come on, it's a simple question. Like, what are positions?
Like, what does the word generally mean?
Yeah, the word, the
Like,
positions.
where some position is like where something is like placed,
Exactly.
something
That's
that holds a place.
good. Good. That's exactly what we have in HTML and CSS as well. So, for example, this is our parent div. Okay, and let's say we have a child here. Okay, so now if you want to move this child, okay, if you want to like move this child like dead in the center, do we have anything like, have we studied anything which would allow us to do this, like get this child right dead in the center? Like, we studied about the margins. What margin is going to do is it's going to align it like here. Yes, like margin order is going to align it on the x-axis right in the center. Is that it? Yeah, that's what margin
Yeah.
do. Okay, so have we studied anything that is going to align this child like right dead in the center? We have not studied anything like this, right? So
No.
what we are doing here is we are moving this child according to the parent we have outside of this child. Like, we want to move this child like maybe 50% from the left of the parent and 50% from top of the parent. For example, if you want to move this child like here, how would we do that? Again, this child is moving according to the parent. So if we have a scenario like this where something is moving according to another thing, according to the parent, so that's where we use positions. So positions are used when we want to move something according to something else. Okay, does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll start making the layout like we want to do this. We're gonna start it with simple layout. Okay, so this is our layout. Okay, let me give it some color so that we can able really we're able to differentiate between the children and the parent. Yeah, maybe. Okay, till look like, yeah, I think a different color. Yeah. Okay, so how many parents do we have?
One.
Good, one parent. And how many children do we have?
Five.
Five.
Good, five children. So all of these five children are positioned according to the parent, right? Like, the first one is positioned on the left hand side of the parent, the second one on the right hand side, the third one maybe on the bottom right, fourth one is on the bottom left, and the fifth one is right in the center. So all of these children are moving according to its parent. So which property of CSS are we going to use when we want to move something according to something else? What is the property we want to use?
Positions.
Good, positions. So there are a lot of positions. So everything, every element by default is positioned static. What does static mean? Like, generally, what does it mean?
Um,
Static.
like to move.
Yeah, it doesn't move. Basically, any position, any element that doesn't move by default, that is a default position for every element. Okay, it doesn't move. We have positions fixed. What does fixed mean? That it wouldn't move even if you were to add a lot of elements to it, it wouldn't still move. Then we have position sticky. Then we have a lot of positions. We're going to discuss it later onwards. But today's topic is very important. There are two positions that are very important when it comes to designing. So those two positions are relative and absolute. So what does relative in general refers to?
Um, like
Yeah,
if it's relative, it
it's like a
stays
relationship.
in
Yeah,
one
a
place
relationship, like a relationship. Okay.
to each
So
other.
what kind of relationship do we have in HTML? There is only one kind of relationship. What's that? The only kind of relationship we have in HTML. We have the parent and we
And the
have the,
child.
yeah, good,
Yeah.
we have the parent and we have the child. That's the only relationship we have in HTML. Okay, so whenever you want to move child relative to the parent, there are two positions that are going to play the part in it. We have position relative and we have the position absolute. Okay. Okay, so which element would you give relative and which element would you give position absolute? It's this is basically something you have to remember throughout the classes. So basically position relative is always and always assigned to the parent. Okay, position relative is always assigned to the parent because we want to move relevant to the parent, and position absolute is always and always assigned to the child. That's the only difference between these two positions you need to know. Okay, position relative is always assigned to the parent and position absolute is always assigned to the child. Does that like make any sense?
So the parent,
Yeah.
relative, and the child is
Yeah,
absolute.
yeah, that's the only difference we have in position relative and absolute up until this point, until the
Okay.
this point of discussion. Okay, that's the only thing you need to know until this point. The relative position is assigned to the parent and the absolute position is assigned to the child. Okay, that's the theoretical part of it. Okay, shall we move forward or are
Yeah.
there any questions?
We can move forward.
Okay, good. So let me make a notepad. Okay, inshallah, in next class or maybe the class after the next class, we're gonna move towards a new text editor, and it's called Visual Studio Code, and it's like a professional text editor. Okay, it's not like Notepad. So maybe in the next class or the class after the next class. Okay. So let me save it, and on the desktop, I'm gonna say positions dot html. Okay, that's it. Right. What is this called again? This thing? Very good. The boilerplate. And we have the body. Okay. Inside the head, we're gonna have title, and title is going to say positions. Save it, and let me close all of these tabs and refresh it. Okay, great. So tell me about this layout. How are we going to create this one? How will we create this? You guys create like really difficult assignments, like it would be easy for you now. What's the first thing we're gonna do? Come on. Yeah, good. We're gonna create a parent div. We're gonna say div, and let's give it a class. Class is very important because we have to distinguish between the divs. Good. Let's name a parent. Is it mandatory that we have to give it a parent, or we can do whatever we want? Yeah, good. Okay, parent. So let's style the parent first. So how do we style the parent? Before that, before that, yeah, inside the head, we're gonna say style, and inside the style we're gonna say dot parent. Good. And then what should we do in order to see the parent? Good. We're gonna say width, maybe let's say 60%. 60% of what? 60% of what? Yeah, and who's the parent of the parent? Yeah, the body. Yeah. We still don't see the div. Good. We need to add the background color. Good. Let's say background and maybe let's go red. Save it. Refresh it. Okay. I want to get it into the center.
Margin auto.
Good. Margin auto. Okay. So now we want to create these. So first of all, tell me how many children do we have?
5.
Good. 5. Where do we create these children? Like how do we create these children? And where do we create
Inside
these
the parent
Good.
div.
Inside the parent. We're gonna say div. I'm gonna give it a class. Okay. So this time I'm gonna give it 2 classes. Okay. One class so I can target all of the children at the same time, and a separate class so I can target a children separately. Like I can target a child separately if I want to give maybe a different color than from the rest of the children's. So tell me, how do I give 2 different classes? One should be the mutual class between all of the children, and one should be different. How do I do that? Let's say I want to give a class of child that is going to be mutual for everyone, and then I'm going to want to give the class of child 1 to this one. What should I do? I'm going to give 2 classes.
You want to give 2?
Yeah, I want to give 2 classes.
So you would add a space.
Yeah, good, very good. So space, and then I'm going to say child 1. So now this class, this first one has 2 names. We have child and we have child 1. Now this child is going to be mutual, is going to be common for all of the children. So whenever you want to target every child, we're just going to say child, and it's going to get us all the 5 children. Okay. And if we want to maybe target this one separately, which class should be called? The child 1 or the child 1? Oh, sorry, the child or the child 1?
Child 1.
Good. If you want to target separately. Okay, inside the same parent, not inside the child, inside the same parent, we're going to create another div. We're going to give it a class. Okay, which class should I give first?
Child 1.
Good. No. We have to give it a class.
Child.
First the common class, and then we're going to say...
And then the child 1.
Good. No, child 2.
Oh, child 2.
Yeah. We're going to create another child. So the first one would be child.
And then child 3.
Good. We're going to say child 3. Let me copy it because it's too much work. So 4, 5. 4, and this is going to be 5. Save it, refresh it, we're not going to see it. Why is that?
Because you have to give it width and height.
Good. So now I want to give width and height to every child. What should I do? What should I do if I want to give width and height to every child? Like, do I want to give width and height to every child?
No, so you would do dot child.
Good. So we're going to say what? We're going to say child. So what this class is going to do is, it's going to target all of the 5 children.
All of the child.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So we're going to say width, maybe let's say 20%. And height, I'm going to say 25%. So now something's going to happen. Okay. So we're going to say background and maybe blue. So what do you think would happen if I am going to refresh this one? What do you think would happen? If I were to refresh it, what would happen?
All the pictures are gonna come
Exactly.
up, but they're gonna be blue.
They're gonna be blue. There's something else that's gonna happen. Let me refresh it.
Oh.
Now what happened here? You said all 5 of them are gonna appear here, but all I see is 1.
Is 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how come? It's one.
Oh, do you have to use clip path?
No, clip path is going to just shape the div. I don't want to shape the div. So what do you think? Why do we have this one div? We should have five.
Give it a gap.
Think, think again.
Uh,
Like we've
Is it
given.
because the width and the height are both percentage?
No, no,
Do you have to target more than one class?
no.
the
These are.
position?
No. We haven't
The
discussed
the
positions yet.
style,
No.
I don't know.
Clip path.
Border?
No.
background
Like
Border?
color.
you guys are saying everything that we have studied up until this point. Like something's
Can you
gonna be
give us a
correct, right?
hint?
Something's gonna be right. So basically, it's not one. It's all five of them. You haven't said something that's really important about. There's
The
something else
auto?
there's something else you studied that should be applied here. What you see here is not just one. We have five divs. But why do we see one here? Because we haven't given it a margin. Like all five of them are on top of each other. So that's why we can differentiate between them. So let's say I'm going to say one rem. How much is one rem? How much is one?
16.
Yeah, good, 16 pixels. So now do you see? Yeah, okay. So they were five, but because of the because they were stacked on top of each other, so that's why we couldn't see it. Okay, so yeah, the margin applied the space. So that's why now we can see all five of them. But before that, there were still five of them, but we couldn't differentiate because of the because they were like on top of each other. Yeah.
What if you did margin and then you did percentage?
Yeah, it would happen. It would, if I were to say, let's say 5% is going to give it a margin, but now it's going to give it a margin of according to the parent. Okay, so you never use margin in percentages, okay, because you wouldn't know the exact, the measurements then. So mostly it's going to be like in pixels or in rems. Let me save it. Let me refresh it. Okay. So now my question is, why are these blue divs getting out of the red div? Like they should be inside the red div because children shouldn't get out of their parent. So why is it that they're getting out of its parent?
Do they need to be positioned?
No, we haven't discussed position till now. We have to discuss it, but this doesn't concern the positions. Think again. Why do you think they're getting out of the parent?
Because the parent has
Exactly, good. That is a point. That is one point. Yeah. But we've given the parent the height of 500 pixels, and the children's height is 25%. So basically, they're gonna take the height according to the parent. So they should be aligned in the parent. The question is, why are they getting outside? It has something to do with the height. So I've given you a hint. Now think. Okay, so tell me, how many children do we have? Five. Yeah. What's the height of each child?
25%.
So 25 into 5.
5.
25 into 5.
6,
25 times 5.
125.
125. So the parent is 100%, and now the child in the sums up to 125%. So 125% exceeds 100%. So that's why the children are exceeding its parent. Okay.
Yes, I remember now. We
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we've discussed until these classes, these previous maybe six classes. So now what we want to do is, what do we want to do? Like what is it that we want to do? Like we want to do this, huh? Like we want to do this. So what is it? Like what's happening here? These children are moving according to its parent.
Parent.
Yeah, that's happening. So we don't have to concern ourselves with this one because positions is going to take care of everything. Okay. So my question to you guys is, There were two positions that I talked about. What were those two positions? Good, the relative and the absolute. So the question is, who's gonna be taking the relative position and who's gonna be taking the absolute one? Great, very good. So which one of these is gonna have the relative one? Which one of these? The blue one or the red one? Good, very good. The red one is going to have the relative position. So we're gonna, who's the red one? What's the name of the red one? Good. So we're gonna go inside the parent and we'll say positions, no, not positions, position relative, and you'll see that nothing's gonna happen. Yeah, nothing's happening. So these, all of these 5 children are gonna have the position of good, absolute. So I want to target all 5 of them. Should I say child 1 or child 2?
Child.
Yeah, we're gonna say child only. So relative doesn't do as much, but position absolute is gonna, it's just gonna, what can we say? It's gonna drain. Nah, that would be too catastrophic. Okay, so we're gonna say just position absolute. So what this absolute is? This absolute is, you can say, a really dangerous position. Okay, dangerous in a sense that it's gonna, it's gonna disturb all of your layout. Okay, if you don't know how you're using it. So you have to use it, like really carefully use it, and do not use it if you don't have to use it. Okay, because it's like it's gonna disturb everything. So since we've given the position of absolute the child, I'm gonna save it and then I'm going to refresh it. What happened here? Let me remove the margins. What happened here? Where are the childs?
Did they stack on top of each other?
Very good. They're stacked on top of each other. Because in general, what does absolute refers to? What do you think? What does absolute refers to?
Only one child, 1 point.
Absolute. Like absolute, not like that absolute that when you're totally sure, that's also called absolute, but not that absolute. Basically, it refers to that poetic absolute. So basically, absolute here refers to like the something that doesn't concern itself with anything else. Okay, absolute in this case is now these children doesn't care about the layout. Now they're gonna be stacked on top of each other, stacked on top of other elements. Like now they're not gonna disturb anything that comes in their way. Maybe they'll be like maybe above something, maybe they'll be below something, but they are not going to disturb anything that comes their way. So
So
absolute.
like stay where it is.
Yeah, it's gonna, no, it's not gonna stay where it is. It wouldn't disturb anything. Like if you have text here, for example, wait, let me write text here. That's I'm gonna say h1, and that's I'm gonna say test. Save it and let me remove the position first. So we have this test written here. Okay. So the moment I give this child the position of absolute, what do you think would happen? Like now, if I give the
It's
position
gonna
of
stack.
yeah, good. It's gonna stack. Why is that? Because now this blue doesn't care about this text. Like if this text is taking space, it doesn't care about it. Because why is that? Because when you put position absolute on something, it does not care about anything else. It'll stack on top of each other. It's gonna stack behind that. Like it wouldn't concern about the width and height of any other element.
So
Okay.
is there a specific way to use absolute?
Yeah, there is. So that's why
Okay.
before I've put the position of absolute, I've said that this is the dangerous position. Okay, so you have to know how do you want to use it. Okay, before using it, you need to know how this is used. Save it, refresh it. So basically, now they are stacked on top of each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, let me remove this one. Refresh it. Okay. So now they're stacked on top of each other because they doesn't care about anything. So now we put the position of relative on the parent and we put the position of absolute on the child. Now these children are binded to its parent, to the closest relative positioned element. Now this, the position absolute is going to be binded to the closest relative positioned element. Does that make any sense? The position absolute element is going to be binded to the closest relative positioned element. So can you tell me who is the closest position relative element to this blue one? Who is the closest
The
relative?
background.
Yeah,
The
this
parent.
red one.
Parent.
Yeah, good. This parent is the closest relative position, so that's why these blue divs are moving according to the red one. But what if I were to remove this relative from the parent? What do you think would happen? Now, who's the closest relative positioned element to this blue div?
The body.
Very good. Exactly. Very good. The body is now the closest relative position to this blue div, so everything about this blue div is going to be according to the body. So at the moment they were taking percentages 20% and 25% of the red parent. Why? Right? Because they were relative to the red parent. But now I've removed this relative and I'm going to refresh it. What do you think would happen? Now they are according to the white one. They're doing everything according to the white one, the body. So the 20% and 25% is according to the red one or the white one?
The white.
That's
The white.
good, the white one. So what do you think would happen? Are they going to get bigger or smaller?
Smaller.
Think again. Is the white one bigger than the
Oh,
red one?
it's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, they're going to get bigger. So now they're moving according to the body, because body is the closest relative positioned element to this blue one.
Can you just explain this one more time, please?
Yeah, sorry, you're right. Okay, so let me remove this position as well. Okay, I'm gonna do positions again. Okay, so as long as you don't have position absolute, these blue divs are gonna take some of the spaces. Okay, they're gonna take the spaces that is assigned to them. At the moment they have how much space? 20% of the width and 25% of the height. So each one of them is gonna take up that space. Okay, that's the first one. Okay, the second one. The moment you specify, okay, first of all, before specifying the absolute one, you have to specify the relative one. Okay, so that your layout doesn't gets all messy. So who's gonna get relative position?
The parent.
Yeah, good. The parent. Parent is always position relative, and the relative position should come before the absolute position. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's the parent in this case?
The background.
Red.
The red one.
The
Yeah.
red.
And what's the name of the red one?
Parent.
Good. Parent. So what are we gonna say here? What should we say here?
For the position.
Yeah, good. The position and the position of absolute. Yeah?
Relative. Yeah.
Good. Relative. Because the parent is always and always relative. Save it. If I'm going to refresh it, what do you think? Something would happen or not? Would something happen or not? If
I
I'm
think
gonna,
Yes.
what would happen?
What
You
is
know,
that?
I'm deliberately confusing you guys. Position
It
relative.
won't stack.
Yeah, the position relative is not going to do anything. Okay, it won't do anything. Position relative is not dangerous like absolute one.
Oh,
Okay.
absolute will.
Yeah, absolute is the dangerous one. Okay. So who's gonna get the position of absolute now?
The
Child.
Yeah, the child. And what's the name of the child? Yeah, it's child. So we're gonna say position of absolute. You have to know how you use absolute. Okay, you have to know before using it. You should be certainly clear, like 100% clear, like absolutely clear, how this absolute would work. So let me save it. And how would it work in this case now? Since I put the position of absolute on the child, and I put the position of relative on the parent. So these blue are going to be moved according to the which one? These blue divs are going to be moved according to what? According to the body or according to this red one?
The parent.
Good, the parent. Why is that? Why are these blue going to be moved according to the red one? What did I tell you about the position relative and absolute? The closest position relative position div. So the absolute divs, maybe you can write it down, okay? Because this point is really important. The absolute position div moves according to the closest relative positioned div. I'm going to repeat it again. The absolute position element or div is going to be moved, or going to be it's going to take height and width according to the closest relatively positioned div. Okay, can you repeat that again?
The absolute position div according to the
Is going to
closest relative
very good,
position div.
exactly, good. So in this case, who is the closest position relative to this child?
There.
Yeah, the red one, yeah. So the red one is the closest position div, so that's why these blue are going to move according to the red one. You're going to see it in a minute, okay? So at the moment, so what we have discussed is parent is always going to have the relative position, and the children are going to have the absolute
I have a,
positions. Yeah,
I have
well,
a question.
yeah,
So the body default position is relative?
good catch, yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that.
Oh, okay, that wasn't a question. You will get that. That's exactly what it is. Okay, so
Okay,
the
okay,
body is relative position. Very nice that you catch it. Okay, yourself. Okay,
okay.
so yeah, okay. So when you define position, okay, whenever you define position, whether it be relative or whether it be absolute or whether any position, if you define the position, now you have access to four more properties. Okay, how much properties do you have access to more now? How much more
Or
properties?
four.
Yeah, good. Those four properties are named top, right, bottom, left. Okay, top, right, bottom, left. These four positions are going to be only accessible if you have specified the positioned property on the element. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to move child 2 at this point. Okay, I want to move this one of the child 2 from here to this point. So who's going to be my target? Child?
Child 2.
Good, child 2. Where do we want to move it? Now this child 2 is going to move according to the red one, because red one is position relative and this one is absolute. Okay, so I want to move it like here. So how much is this here from the right side? Like here, how much is it from the right side? So when you specify position
50?
50?
Like half of it?
No.
From
If it's gonna be half, it's gonna be placed right like here. I want to place it right here. So how much would it be from that right? Because when you specify positions, you have access to four new properties: top, right, bottom, left. So you want to move it to the right side. What we're gonna say?
margin
No, no,
right.
no. When you've specified positions, now margins are not gonna have any effect. Margin auto is
Okay,
not gonna have any effect. Okay.
okay.
So we're gonna say right. Right would refer to the right of this parent, and we're going to say 0. What does it mean? Move 0 pixels from the right side. So what would happen to child 2? It's going to move to the right. Does that make any sense, or should I do it again?
Yeah, I got it.
Nope.
Okay, let me do it again. Save it, refresh it. So is it clear that all four of them are stacked on top of each other? Is this point clear?
So why would it be margin?
So why wouldn't it be?
Margin.
Because margin
Margin
doesn't have.
right?
No. Margin right is something else. When you specify positions, now the margin auto, the auto property doesn't have any effect. Okay,
Okay.
the auto property would not have any effect if you have specified the margins. Oh, sorry, not margins.
Okay.
If you have specified the positions. Okay.
Okay.
So now what I want to do is I want to move the child 2 to this position. So since we have specified the position, now we have access to again 4 properties. So we want to move this blue to the right side of this red. So what would we say? We're gonna say child 2 or child 3, whatever you want, to be right. And what would happen if I were to say 10 pixels? What do you think would happen? Like when we said right
It'll move a
0,
little bit.
yeah, it's gonna be like around here, 10 pixels from the right side. So now we have it, the 10 pixels from the right side. Okay?
No, but that stayed where it is, so that means that it would just leave space. You
It's
see
gonna
where
leave
there's
space.
yeah, like you see where the blues where it is, right?
Yeah,
There's a little bit of red showing.
yeah. Why
So
is that?
that
Because
it
we've
just
said,
creates this.
yeah, we've said that there should be a 10 pixels gap from the right side. So that's
Oh
why
yeah,
it's
okay.
taking up 10 pixels of gap from the right side. What would happen if I were to increase this? What do you think would happen?
In the middle.
Not the middle. I've said 50 pixels, not percent. What do you think?
It will keep going to the left.
It'll
Yeah,
be bigger.
it's the space is going to be a little more. Okay,
Oh
50
yeah.
pixels
Yep.
from the right side. It's going to push it 50 pixels from the right side. Okay, but I want it to be at the very right side. So what would I say? Like,
0.
Zero.
good. So I'm gonna say 0. You don't have to specify
But
pixels because 0 is 0.
I have a question.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of right, what if you write center? 50
There's
px.
no property is center. We've access to only 4 properties. And what were those 4 properties?
Top, right, bottom,
Yeah,
left.
so there's no center. There's only top, right, bottom, and left.
What if you
So,
write bottom?
yeah, what if I were to write bottom? What do you think would happen if I were to write bottom in the
What
same
if I'm in the
child?
bottom middle?
Yeah, we're gonna say bottom. And what would happen if I were to say 0? What do you think would happen?
And bring it to the corner of the bottom.
Yeah, good. It's gonna go to the bottom now. Okay? Okay, so now I want to,
Basically, we need to write 0 to get it in the exact corner.
yeah, good, good. That's exactly the point. So I want to move the child 3 to this side, What do you think do I have to write? Like I want to move child 3 to this point.
Right,
Yeah, good.
right, color 0.
Good, we're gonna say child 3 and then we'll say right.
Right.
Like I want the child 3 from the right side of its parent to be on the 0. Good. So I want child 4 to be like here.
Then write child 4
Yeah, good. I write child 4.
bottom.
Good. Bottom. Should I write left first?
Yeah.
I'm
Wait.
deliberately doing it.
No,
No, why is that?
because it's on the top.
Yeah, it's already on the left, so I don't have to write left, okay? So we just have to say bottom 0 because it's already on the left, so we don't have to write. Okay? So before we move to the child 5, I'm gonna do one thing. What would I do here is I am going to remove this position relative from the parent, and I've saved it. What do you think would happen if I were to refresh it now? What would happen? Now what are these blue moving according to? According to what are these blues moving to?
The parent.
Yeah, and who's the parent?
Body.
The body, exactly, good. So what would happen to these blue? Like where would be they placed now?
Well, they're gonna get bigger.
They're gonna get bigger, yeah. And where would they be placed? Like are they going to be at the same position they are now? So where would they be?
On the side again, they're
Oh.
gonna be on the white.
Yeah, they're gonna be on the white, but where exactly on the white?
The corner.
Yeah, good, very good, exactly the corners. Because now they're not moving to the red according to the red one, because now the parent is the the body. So they're gonna be according to the right should be according to the white one, the bottom should be according to the white one. So I'm gonna refresh it. Now can you see? What about this one? Why didn't they like move here? What do you think? Why didn't they move like here?
Still with the guy?
No, because when you specify the positions, it doesn't concern the width and the height, because this is the starting position of these blue one. If I want to get it to the left hand side, what should I do? For the child, I have to say what? Left 0. What would happen is going to take it from here to the parent's left here. Okay? It's not okay, right? There's some confusion, like not some, a lot of confusion. So we're gonna do another project, but for the time being, let's say let this parent have the position vector. So now they're gonna move according to the red one. Okay, so for the 5th child, I want it in the middle. What do you think do I have to write in order for it to be in the middle? What should I write for it to be in the middle? Like how much push does the child 5 need in order to be in the middle?
50?
Good, 50. 50 from which side? Right, bottom, left, where?
Every side.
And currently, where is child 5? The first question. Where is the child 5 currently?
Top left. The middle?
Yeah, no, child 5 is here. Okay, so we have to push it from the which side?
Left.
Good, left. We're gonna say left. How much?
50.
Good, 50%. So now we want to push it from which side in order in order for it to be here?
On top.
Good. So what we're going to say is top.
50.
Good, 50%. So is it in the middle?
No.
It is in the middle.
I mean, yeah, but not in the. Yeah.
Yeah. How come is it? How come it's in the middle? You don't have to,
It's 50-50.
it's 50-50, but is it in the middle though? It is.
I mean, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is, but it doesn't look like it. Not the full screen, that's
Okay, let me give it a full screen.
nice.
Is it in the middle? It is in the middle. It is in the middle, and I think we've discussed something similar to this one before as well. Like in the 3rd class, I guess, where you guys said that it's not in the middle, and I said that it was in the middle. Why is that? Because I'm talking about this corner. If you were to look closely at this corner is like dead in the center. Is it not? Yeah, so it is in the middle according to this corner. So 50-50 should get it to the center. So why is it that it hadn't get it to the center? Why is that? Why haven't this 50-50 got this div in the center? What do you think?
Is it because of the size of it?
Yeah, good. Because this div has, yeah, exactly, because this div has its own width and height. So when you give it a push of 50%, wait, let me draw it for you so it'll be easy. Yeah, so this is our, which axis is this one? X now? Is it X?
Y and X.
Which one is X and which one is Y? Yeah, good. This one is Y, the other one is X. Okay, so currently we had our div like placed here and not here. It was like here. So when we pushed it from the left hand side, how much did we push it from the left hand side? 50. So what happened here is this div got 50%. So this is 50%. Now why is this div not in the center? Because this div had some width. So this width is, it pushed it more than 50%. Like this corner is still in the 50%, hence in the center. But because of the width of the div, it felt like it, it exceeded the 50% because of the width. So when we said top 50%, what happened here is it pushed from the top to 50%. So if you were to see the corner here, this is what 50% meant. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to subtract the width and we want to subtract the height of that div in order for it to be visually in the center.
25, 25.
Yeah, 25% and 25%. But again, if I were to say 25% like this, right? If I were to say 25%, would it be in the center? No. But I'll say that no, it's not in the center. It's not in the center. This corner is in the center. Yeah. So wait. Let me move to the diagram again. At the moment, this div is like this.
I have a question.
Yeah,
What if you do 50, column 25%?
we can do that. There's only one. Value you can assign. Okay. Okay. So currently, this div, the middle one is like this. Okay. The corner is in the center. What should we do if we want to make the x-axis to be in the center? What should we do? We should subtract the width of that div. Is that right? We should subtract the div. Sorry, we should subtract the width of that div. Yes? How much should I subtract the width of that div in order for it to be in the center? How much width should be subtracted for it to be in the center? Like this is 0, this is 50, and this is 100. So how much should I subtract for it to be in the center? Yeah, good. 50 from the x-axis. And how much height should I subtract in order for it to be in the center?
50.
Yeah, 50. So it'll get you this div in the center. So how are we going to subtract the width? Like I want to subtract the width, but I don't want to shorten this. So we have a property. I want you to remember this. Okay, I want you to cram this because this is going to be used like a lot. Okay. So we're gonna say transform. Up until this point, we were moving this blue div according to its parent. Yes, we were moving this div according to its parent. Is that right or not?
Yeah.
So now what we want to do is, now we want to move this div according to its own self. We were up until this point, we were moving this div according to the parent, but now we want to move this div according to its own self. So whenever you want to move something, so any element according to its own self, you have to use the property of transform. And I guess we have discussed this transform, right?
Yeah.
But there's a new property that we are going to discuss here. So if you want to move something according to its own self, the property is translate. Okay, so translate is going to do what? It's going to move that element according to its own self. Okay, does that clear what this translate does? What does translate do? It basically moves an element according to its own self. Okay, so translate, we're going to put parentheses here. The first thing it takes is, how much do you want? Yeah. Is the question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So does transform get rid of relative?
No, it doesn't have any relation to the relative. It's an independent property. Okay, you can use it however you want, wherever you want. Okay, so the first thing it takes is, how much do you want to move on the x-axis? So currently, this is like here. How much do we want to move on the x-axis? We want to move like this. So how much do we want to move? 50 what? Good, yeah, it's 50, but what's the magnitude? Like pixels, rems, percentages?
Percent.
Good, 50% of its own self. So we're gonna say minus 50% or positive 50%?
It's going which way?
It's going left. Yeah, good, minus. X-axis is positive here and it's negative here, so we're moving this way.
Negative.
Good, we're gonna say negative 50%. So this is going to do what? It's gonna make it move negative 50% to its own self. You're gonna see here. Did it move? Is it in the center on the x-axis? it's dead in the center. So now we want to move it on the y-axis. So how would we do it? We're going to put comma here and we're going to move it up. So is y positive up or is negative?
Negative, positive.
It's positive, but in CSS it's inverse. So in CSS, okay, by default in mathematics it's positive. Okay, I don't want you to confuse your concepts. So by default in mathematics, y is positive on the top and it's negative on the bottom. But in CSS, it's negative on the top and positive on the bottom. Okay. So what should we say? We want to move it up.
So that would be the same, negative 50%.
Yeah, good. Negative 50%. Very good. So it's going to subtract 50% of its height. Now is it in the center?
Yes.
It's dead in the center. Whether you maximize it or minimize it, it's still going to be in the center. Okay. So that was, I guess, a lot of work. Yeah. Let's increase that amount of work. So whenever you want to, okay, first thing, whenever you want to, have something in the center, like dead in the center, and you're using positions, you need to memorize these three properties.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So when you get transform, every time you use transform, we have to put transform and translate next to it.
Yeah, you have to use it only if you want to move something according to its own self.
Only if we're centering.
Only if you're centering, plus only if you want something to move according to its own self. Like it doesn't have to be always if you want to center something. If you want something to move according to itself, like maybe on the right or maybe on the little left or top, something like that, if you want to move it according to its own self, you're going to use translate. Okay. Great. Okay, so these properties are really important when you're centering something according to the positions. Okay, so what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna do this, but this time it should be dead in the center. Okay, this one. Wait, my mouse is not working properly. Wait. And we're gonna have a diamond here, and not this diamond. And we're gonna have a star in the center, like dead in the center. Now this should, the layout I've designed here, it should exactly match the picture. Okay, so what should we do? What should we do? Come on, it's easy question. Like, what's the first thing we need to create? Yeah, good. We're gonna create another div inside the child one. Good. Inside the child one, we're gonna say I want to create another div. Let me create a class. I'll say it's a circle one. Okay. So how should I target it? Dot circle one, good, and we're gonna give it a width. Maybe let's give it in pixels so that we can center it properly, or sorry, circle it properly. Wait, let me check your concept. So I'm gonna say width. What does 50% reference to here? What is 50% reference?
50%.
Of the parent,
Yeah, good. And who's the parent of circle one?
the red parent.
Uh-huh.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Sorry, child one.
Yeah, good. It's child one. Background, I'm gonna say let's say green. Now, can you see that green circle? Not. It's not a circle. It's a rectangle. Yeah. Okay. So I want to circle it. Like I want to make it round, like whole round, fully round.
Clip path. Clip path.
Clip path. Would border radius work or not?
Yes.
Why would it work?
Doesn't it create the circle?
Yeah, it does create the circle. But my question
The
is, would it?
height and the width is the same.
Yeah, good. The height and the width are same, so it should work, right? The border radius should work because that's the condition of the border radius to work. That the width and height should work. It should be same. So this same, but it would not work. Is it a circle?
Yes.
It's not a circle.
No, it's an oval.
Yeah, it's an oval. So why didn't it work? Like the width is same, the height is same. Why didn't it work? What do you think? Like, sorry,
Is
again.
that the same as the child one?
Good. We
The
said 50%. Okay, we said 50%, but percentage is always relative to the parent. So what's happening here? Although we've specified 50%, and the percentage is always relevant to the parent. So maybe the parent does not have the equal width. So does the parent have the equal width?
no.
It does not. So that's why the percentage would be, the calculations would be off here. Like they're not going to be same. So that's
The
why.
class is about to end
How
in
much
one
time?
minute.
Okay, let me end this call and I'll send you a new link. Okay. So let me
Nobody
first
said
stop.
that.
Let me first. Okay. So we were talking about, yeah, because of the width and height is same, we've given it the same percentages, but because percentage is relevant to the parent and the parent width and height is not same, so that's why border radius is not converting into a perfect circle. So how can we convert it into a perfect circle?
Clip path.
Yeah, good. We're gonna say clip path and we'll say circle. Yeah, now it's a perfect circle. So now my question to you guys is, how are we going to make it go into the center, like dead in the center to its parent? Like we want to move this green one according to the blue one. What should we do?
Transform.
Uh-huh. We want to move something according to something.
Margin.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It's the main topic for today's class.
position.
Yeah, position.
Relative. You're
When
gonna
you
make
want
it
to
a
use,
relative.
when you want to move something according to something else, you have to use positions. So who's going to be position relative and who's going to be position absolute?
Parent relative.
And
The
who's the
relative
parent?
is
Yeah,
the
relative
blue
is,
one,
yeah, the blue one is going to be relative and the green one is
and
going
the
to be,
absolute is the green one.
yeah, good, very good. But we are stuck here, and how are we stuck here? We've given the position of absolute to every child, right? In order to move it according to the parent. Is that right or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me this: how are we going to put position of relative and absolute at the same time? Like it's not possible. So we're stuck, right? No, we're not stuck.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is that? Because the child always treats its parent as relative. Okay, even if the parent is positioned absolute, the child is always going to treat its parent as relative. Does that make any sense? Even if the parent is positioned absolute, the child is going to treat it as relative. Like it's going to move according to its parent. Doesn't matter even if it's positioned absolute. Even if the parent is a position absolute. Okay?
Okay.
Is that
Can you repeat it?
yeah.
Can you repeat it one last
Yeah, sure,
time?
sure, sure. I'm gonna do it again. So the problem here is I want to move this green one according to the blue one. So if I want to do that, this blue one should have a position of relative and this green one should have a position of what?
Absolute.
Absolute, yeah. But there's a problem. This blue one is also moving according to the red one. So we've also already given this red one the position of relative and this blue one the position of absolute. So we cannot put position relative and absolute at the same time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we want to move this green one according to the blue one. In order to do that, we have to put position of relative here and absolute on this green one. But again, this is already positioned absolute. But again, the main thing is the child always treat its parent as relative, even though if you have a position of absolute on the parent, the child is always going to treat it as relative.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what this means is this green is going to move according to the blue one. Okay, it's always going to move according to the blue one because he's the it's not he, it's the parent of this green one.
Yeah.
So the green
Yeah.
one is the absolute.
Good, the green one is the
So what's
absolute.
gonna happen is the green one inside it moves based on the parent's position, which is the blue one.
Yeah, it's gonna
Okay.
be moved according to the blue one.
So that's how they work together.
Yeah,
Okay.
even though the blue is already position absolute, yes, because we've given it the position of absolute, like we've given position absolute to each child. So this blue
Yeah.
one is position absolute, but
Yeah.
this green one is going to treat this parent as absolute or relative. The child always treats its parent as
Relative.
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 Yeah, so even though it's position absolute, it's still going to treat its parent as relative. So what I
Okay.
meant is, let me do the practical works. It'll then be easy for you. Okay, so I want to move this. Okay, I want to move this according to this one. So we have to put the property of what?
Transform.
No. First we have to put the position. Sorry, the property of
Position.
position. Yeah, position. And what should be the position of this green one?
Absolute.
Good,
Absolute.
absolute, because it's a child. Absolute. Save it. So what do you think would happen? Nothing. But now we have access to 4 more properties. And what are those properties?
Top.
Right. Left.
Top.
Good.
Bottom.
Yeah,
Top
good.
right. Bottom left.
So how much do we want to push this from the top? Like we want to move it in the center. What are those 3 properties? Those 3 magic properties that's gonna make it go in the center. We're gonna push it how much from the we wanna push it
Left,
in
top,
good.
and transform.
Good. Left. How much from the left?
50.
Good. 50%. How much from the top?
50.
50%. Good. So it's gonna move it to the center, but only the corner is in the center.
The
So,
corner.
yeah.
Yes. So you're gonna transform.
Good. We're gonna move it now according to its own self.
Column.
Like we're gonna subtract the width and height of it. So what's the
Yeah.
property?
Transform.
Good.
Colon.
Transform. Yeah. Good. Translate. How much? Yeah. Good.
Negative 50%.
Good. Negative 50%. And negative from the left axis, x-axis,
Yeah,
and negative from the y-axis.
from the y-axis.
So it's dead in the center. Okay. So now we want to do this. How are we gonna do it? Where is this child placed? Like this diamond one. Where are we going to create it? That's not a really good question, is it? Like,
Is it inside the child?
which child?
Child 3.
We want to have it in the green one, this green one. This green one is what? This one. This green one is circle one. Circle one.
Circle 1.
Okay, this green one is circle one. So inside the circle one, we're gonna create another class. We're gonna
Yeah.
another class. Let's do a class of maybe, let's say, diamond. Okay. So I'm gonna target the diamond. And what I'll say is, let's say width maybe 50%. Height maybe 50%. And let's say background to be white. Can you see it? Now I want it
Yeah.
in the center. How will I do that? How would I get it in the center?
Position.
Good. Position.
Absolute.
Again. Good. Position. Because we want to move this white one according to the green one. So now the question is, this green one is position absolute, and this child, this diamond, is also position absolute. So would it treat its parent as absolute or relative?
Relative.
Yeah, good. The child always treats its parent as relative. So basically, this white one is going to move according to the green one. So again, those three magical properties.
Left top
Yeah,
transform.
left 50%. Now you guys already memorized it, right? Top 50%, and we have transform, translate, negative 50% and negative 50%, and then we have semicolon. It's dead in the center, but it's not a diamond. How do we make it into a diamond?
Clipping.
Yeah, clip path. You can use clip path, or if you were to, what if you were to rotate this gear like 45 degrees? What would happen? If you were to rotate it 45 degrees, what do you think would happen? It's gonna be like if you were to rotate it. Yeah, good. So rotate is the value of transform. So we don't have to make another property of transform. So after this one, after this translate, we're gonna put space. We're gonna say rotate. How much do we have to rotate in order to make it into a diamond? 45 deg. We've discussed about this rotate property, right? Yes. Have we discussed about this rotate property?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So it doesn't look like a lot like a diamond. Why is that? Because the width and height doesn't match up. So let's say maybe 70 pixels width, because I wanted to have an exact width. So that's why it's gonna be. What happened here? I guess 70 is too much. 50 maybe. It's still 20. Yeah. So now it looks a lot like a diamond. Yes. Okay, so now we want this star, and where is this star placed? Inside the diamond. So where would I make this star?
Inside the diamond.
Yeah, inside the diamond. Here. Homework is gonna be more interesting than this one. So we're gonna say yes, and let's give it a star. Target the star. So here you also have to give the specific width and height so that we can make a proper star. So maybe 10 pixels because the parent is 20 pixels. 10 pixels, and let's say you have a background of maybe gold. Save it. We have it here. I want it in the center. How do I do that? How do I make this gold one go in the center? Let's make it into a class star.
Position absolute.
Yeah, good. So we're gonna say position. So have you noticed something, that there's only one point where we used relative position? There was only one point, and you have to do it like
Parent.
this. Okay, only the main
parent.
parent is going to have the position of relative. Okay, you don't have to go again and again and put position relative for each and everything. If you have something that is nested inside the main parent, so only the main parent is going to have the position relative, and everything else is going to be position absolute. Okay, so I want this black one to be in the center. What are those three properties? Again, we have
Top
top 50%.
left
Yeah.
transform.
What happened to top left. Negative 50% and negative 50%. Then we're going to semicolon here because it's not going to work. So how do we make it into a star?
Clipper.
Good. Flip path. Clippy. Yeah. Good. Clippy, and here we have the clippy. Let's start with the star. Copy it and save it. Why is the star rotating up? Why do you think the star is rotating? Because its parent is rotating. So when you rotate something that is inside something else, it is also going to be rotated. Okay, Okay, so now for the homework, I guess any questions about the positions? Do you guys have any questions?
No question, just need to study them a little more, but maybe when we do it ourselves, it'll be more better.
Yeah.
And we'll practice them, but I did understand everything you taught.
That's great. Then that's great. For the when I'm teaching, you only have to get the concepts. Okay, that's the main part. You don't have to actually get everything at that exact moment. You just have to know about the concepts, and you're gonna do it. You're gonna get it completely when you practice it yourself. Okay, so as I'm teaching, only the thing that matters is the concept. Like, why do we use position relative? Where do we use position relative? Or maybe where do we use position absolute? How many times do we use relative? So these concepts are the main part of the class. So these are the things you need to get in the class. Okay, so for the homework, you have to create a mobile phone. Okay, you have to create a mobile phone. This is your screen. This is going to be your camera, lens, and inside the lens you're gonna have this camera screen. This is your flash, and inside the camera screen you're gonna have your camera, and then you're gonna have little sensors. Okay, I guess that's good. Yeah, so then below this you're gonna have a screen, and inside the screen there should be a video playing. Okay, there should be a video playing here. Okay, then after this you're gonna have a suggestions container here. You're gonna have an image, and then this is the title, and then the description. So this is going to have the image. So you have to do it twice. And then you have a home button, and then you have the arrows, and then you'll have the volume controls and the power button, and then you'll have the speakers. No, I need a circle. All those speakers are inside, but this is, you can say, these speakers, and these are your vibration sensors, and this is your charging port. So this is the homework. You have to create this. Okay, this is the first homework. I'm gonna share the second one with you in the group.
What image do we have to put inside image?
Whatever you want. Whatever kind of image do you want. Whatever.
Wait, I have a favor.
Yeah.
Can we do this for today? Because we have a class tomorrow.
Okay, but I'm gonna assign you more assignments in these 4 upcoming holidays that you're gonna have. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So okay, that's good. Okay. So just this assignment. Okay. So for the next assignments, I'm gonna assign you when we have the holidays.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. So any more questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, you can leave the class, and I'm gonna share this assignment with you. Okay. Thank you. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Well, why are you congratulating?